So today we're going to dig into the mind of Sundar Pichai, the CEO of Google and Alphabet. His journey from a two-room apartment in India all the way to the top of a tech giant, well, it reveals this core philosophy that is now shaping the future of artificial intelligence for every single one of us. Let's get into it. It really all starts with this one simple question. How does a childhood memory connect to a global vision for the future? And the answer? Well, it tells you everything you need to know about what drives Sundar Pichai. You see, to really get what drives him, we have to go all the way back to his childhood in Chennai, India. It was a time and place where something as basic as a telephone just wasn't a guarantee. And this early experience, this scarcity, it would end up defining his entire worldview. He tells his story about his grandfather. To get a simple blood test result, it meant a long trip to the hospital. We're talking hours, only to show up and be told, "Sorry, the results aren't ready, come back tomorrow." This kind of friction, this massive waste of time, was just a normal part of life. And get this, his family waited 5 years on a waiting list just to get a single old-school rotary telephone. I mean, let that sink in. Not 5 days for a package, 5 years for a phone. When it finally showed up, it was a huge deal. And just like that, this one piece of tech completely changed the game. Now, they could just call the hospital to see if the test results were ready. Boom! Hours of travel saved. Neighbors started coming over to use it too, and their little apartment basically became a community hub. And this is the key takeaway, right? From a really young age, Pichai never saw technology as just a gadget or some kind of luxury. To him, it was a fundamental tool. It solved real-world problems, and it brought people together. And that idea became his North Star. And that perspective, it just stuck with him. So years later, he gets a scholarship to Stanford. He walks into a computer lab for the first time and is just blown away. He had never seen so many computers in one place in his entire life. It was a completely different universe from his childhood, and it really opened his eyes to what was possible when you had abundant access to technology. So this belief, this conviction, he carried it right into his early career at Google. He joined back in 2004 and pretty quickly started pushing for a project that, at the time, was seen as incredibly risky, way too expensive, and frankly, completely unnecessary. So, the CEO at the time flat out said no. The market was totally dominated by Internet Explorer, and building a browser from scratch was going to cost a fortune. But Pichai was convinced it was the future. So what did he do? He quietly put together a small team, and they built a working prototype in secret. When they finally showed it to the executives, they were so impressed, the project got a green light on the spot. And wow, did that bet pay off. Today, Google Chrome isn't just a browser. For most of the world, it is the browser. A massive gamble that paid off in a spectacular way, all because of that conviction. So he climbs the ladder, right? And in 2015, he gets the top job. He's the CEO. But leading a company the size of Google, that comes with a whole different set of problems than secretly building a browser. As CEO, he saw this fundamental challenge. How do you keep that fast, risk-taking energy of a startup alive when you've become a giant corporation? Communication gets way more complicated, and the company naturally starts to avoid risk. His main job became figuring out how to keep that original spark from fizzling out. And, being the boss also means dealing with some pretty tough internal stuff. He's faced public protests from his own employees and some very sharp criticism. But his approach goes back to Google's early days of open feedback. He doesn't see this dissent as a problem. He actually sees it as a strength. He thinks a leader's job is to listen, admit when you're wrong, and adapt. That's how you build a stronger company. You can see that same flexible thinking and how Google is handling the whole future of work thing. Yeah, they've got this hybrid model, but what's really telling is that they approved the vast majority of requests for people who wanted to go fully remote. It's that core belief all over again. You want to empower people and find talent wherever it is, not just in Silicon Valley. Okay, so all of this leads us to right now, to his biggest bet ever. It's a strategy he's been pushing for years, one that he believes will totally redefine the company and, honestly, the world. He calls it AI first. So, AI first. What in the world does that actually mean? Well, it means that artificial intelligence isn't just another feature or some cool new product anymore. No, it is the fundamental layer. It's the core engine that's going to power every single thing Google does, from search to Gmail to everything in between. And the crazy thing is, you're already using this stuff every single day, maybe without even realizing it. When Gmail practically finishes your sentences for you, when your phone can translate a sign in another language in real time, or when you can just type dog into Google Photos and it finds every picture you've ever taken of your dog. Yep, that's the AI first principle right there in your hands. The way he talks about this change is pretty intense. He says it's not just some new tech, it's a giant wave, a tidal wave, that's going to force us to rebuild everything from the ground up. This isn't just an update. He sees it as a full-blown revolution. Now, look, a wave that big is obviously going to come with some serious risks. Pichai is very open about that. But he argues the answer isn't to just hit the brakes and stop. The answer is to get ahead of the problem, to get government, academics, and tech companies all working together right now to build smart, thoughtful rules for the road. So, when you boil it all down, what's really driving the guy in charge of this massive shift? Well, it all comes back to that rotary phone in India, right, doesn't it? It's that deep-seated belief in the power of access, the power of opportunity. He says his biggest inspiration is watching the next generation, because he truly believes they won't just improve on what we've done. They'll use these tools to build a fundamentally better world.